What's up, boys? Today we are programming drums. This is going to be like a comprehensive video of beginner to intermediate drum programming. Everything from tone to getting them like realistic and like kind of the methodology for the different types of fills you can do. All the music I release, I'm playing the guitar and programming the drums. I played drums well before I played guitar, so it gives me kind of a understanding perspective on like what can really happen behind a drum kit. You don't need to be 100% real all the time. You can kind of blend the lines of like, okay, well, obviously like a real drummer wouldn't hit two cymbals right here, but it gives it a fuller sound, and 99.9% of people aren't gonna know the fucking difference. Starting off with what we're using. So we are using Contact. It is the P4 Matt Halpern signature pack. The settings on that I can go into in another time. So I got like a little drum program right here. I'm just gonna play the pattern. I have that ran through a kind of like a distortion compressor right here, and then some EQ that's just dampening out this right here, and then slightly dropping off the low end, right? And then the big one, Maximus. This makes a huge difference. So check out the drums without any of these plugins. Okay, now with the Goodizer, Sound Goodizer, you got like more pop on the snare. EQ, there we go. Hopefully you can see this now, but EQ off. It's just a tiny, a good mix is like dependent on 100 little things coming together, as opposed to like 3-5 like big compressors or maybe whatever the fuck you want to throw in a mix. But yeah, it's a culmination of just like 100 little things. That's one of those little things that really helps the guitar kind of pop through. Just that tiny little fucking dip right there at like 3200 hertz in the Maximus. So I'll play it again. Huge, bro. All right, off, on. And that's all. The drums are on the same drum track. I'm not making a track for the bass drum, the cymbals. Like I could, and maybe in the future I will, but that sounds fucking killer to me. And you can adjust the volumes in the Contact player. You could adjust basically all the volumes for them individually. But anyway, programming drums. Those are the settings we have. That is the mix we're going into it with. Let me make sure I turned all those motherfuckers. Okay, yep, they're on. When you're programming extreme music, if you're in like the beginner intermediate stage, chances are your drums are just essentially following your guitar, which is cool. I mean, that sounds sick. You know, like if your guitar is going like da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun, chances are your bass drum is going da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun. So that's kind of what we got going here. I have this. Let me show you the full thing. So like as the video goes, I'll explain how we get there. We'll play this full segment. Check this out. Pretty sick. Hopefully the audio stuck in there for that. Pretty sick. I was really happy with how that came out. What we have here is like a reduced version of that. Now, programming the drums. These are the drums. This your hi-hat. Someone put a comment the other day about like I could label these. That would have been so valuable like 4 or 5 years ago, but you know, dude, I've written so much music in here now. I pretty much have this whole thing committed to memory. Kick drum, snare. That's gonna be like your double snare. Hi-hat, some splashes, crashes, China. Yeah, so our drum track right here, we're gonna start off on how to make it more realistic sounding. Your drummer is not gonna hit precise eighth note triplets at a tempo. It doesn't matter if it's fucking Eloy from Slipknot. He's gonna be damn close, but he's not gonna hit them perfect. So check this out. And unless you're using triggers, which if you're going for that trigger sound, there's nothing wrong with having these pegged out. I leave them pegged out because it just sounds more powerful. Little fucking simple trick here to make them more realistic hitting velocity. So you want to keep them around this point, like, well, this is an FL, but around this velocity. Just fucking go like this, dude. Now immediately, check this out. Now, compared to what it was. Pretty good. So we got them back here, but now is an issue of the timing. So your eighth note triplets aren't going to be precise. So you got to think about the tempo and the progression being played. So like this is like, that is not a fast bass drum. Most people can just kind of do that with their feet. So a real drummer is gonna feel almost like he's chomping at the bit to get that fucking pattern out. So highlight them and then just squish them in a little bit so they're slightly offset, because the real drummer is going to be able to do that a little bit faster. So he's potentially going to be doing it slightly faster than the tempo. Boom, like that. So then check it out. Your snares aren't going to be hitting the perfect spot. The cymbal, depending on the progression, can kind of be a dead giveaway of programmed drums because they're perfectly on the dot. You can kind of shrink them or collapse them however you'd like. It's going to be minimal difference unless you're doing like a fast progression, like something like this. Like that's... So then I would take down every other one so it's a little more realistic. Like... already sounds a little bit better. All right, so that's like programming the realness of them. But again, I mean, I'll leave them offset, but I just fucking put them all max velocity for the sake of this. So now programming them to be interesting. So for extreme metal, this, a lot of people would stop there. You could do something like that. Not super interesting. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know exactly where this is going. Metric modulation made so fucking simple, dude. Normally, if you're like fucking like ba da ba da 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 da, like, you know, it's like eighth notes. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. But we're in eighth note triplets right now. So it's like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. As you can see, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Where would you dot your cymbals? So like you can fuck around and see how standard quarter note cymbals sound. That's pretty fast. But then staggered every 2 notes, every 2 clicks like this is slow. But then you're like, oh, can I do every 1.5? Usually, yes. But you're in eighth note triplets. So this cymbal right here is falling in a fucking weird spot between the triplets. For the sake of like easing into things, move your cymbals off of the triplets. Say, for instance, like you could do every other triplet, right? Like that. That's fast as fuck cymbals, dude. That's like, I don't know. To me, that just doesn't sound as good, but you could do... I mean, it's gonna sound better on the ride. Now leaving that snare right there makes it feel like eighth note triplets. So you're like ding, 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 ding. You know, if you move, you know, in regular like quarter notes, it's usually like 1 2 snare 4 1 2 snare 4. Do the same thing with these eighth note triplets. Fuck me. Is it right there? Nope. I'm shy. So 1 2 3 4 1 2, and then it would continue. But so that gives it this sound. I mean, let's just go right here. See how when you oscillate between like the eighth note triplets and then the half notes, it just has like a confusing sound because you're bouncing between rhythms, but it's the same pattern down here. So let's fucking knock this off. The cymbals are fast as hell. Let's cut them in half. So now we're still on the triplets, but we're dividing the entire 4 bars. So like the 1 2 3 4, we're dividing that into 3 evenly spaced cymbals. Let's toss these back on the, and then we're gonna move this snare hit to every 3rd one. 1 2 3, but keep it in subdivisions of 4. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 3 2. All right, so check out this feel now. Now, oh shit, what if we switched it up right here? Look at that. We go back into half notes. So you could do that. I would personally move this right here. Sounds pretty cool. Now this, obviously, we'd probably move to the China. Oh. Now let's check it out in the mix. Pretty sick. Now let's kick it up one more notch. And for this, we're gonna move everything to the China because it sounds better. You got your fucking eighth note triplets and then into your half notes, right? And the reason we got a snare in the first half note is because if that were played in the eighth note triplets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, snare right there. So we're gonna leave the snares for right now. This is where it becomes a little more intermediate and advanced because you have to be sort of intuitive about where it's gonna feel like things are randomly placed, but then when you hear it all together, it should sound pretty natural. So even if you don't have the best idea on what you're doing, go for it. Like right now, this is completely freeballed. I know I kind of wrote that thing earlier, but this is the same methodology I used to write that. So we're ending right here. So if we had end that with a snare, and we'll remove that crash right there. And then we're gonna move this one to the beginning of this pattern and then leave that one right there. And then move, so that's our crash. So basically what we're doing is we're hitting the first initial like 1, 2, 3, and then instead of having one right here, we just moved it to the beginning of our kick pattern right here. That might sound good with a snare right there. Oh no, that's where the cymbal is. Oh, so we'll take that down and we'll move like a, and then crash as if it's starting over right here. And now that one's there, that one's there. And then if we put another 4 blocks in between, those are essentially the same spacing as eighth note triplets, just offset to the beginning of this kick pattern. So then you would move this to right there, I believe. Yep. And then we'll leave that open because then we're going to start a new pattern right here like that. So let's see how this sounds outside of the mix. Now let's check that out into the mix. That's actually pretty dope. I may replace something I already wrote with that. Let's check it out. Side note, I put this in every video. If you want your FL Studio to run faster, tools, macros, switch smart disable for all plugins. That is gonna allow all the other plugins you have on your mixer tracks, all this bullshit. If it's not actively being played, it's like off. It's not rendering. So it's gonna save a lot of CPU. Let's check this out. Let's see how this works. Boom, dude, sick as fuck. So that's that. Now, blast beats and fast double bass. So let me see, I have a couple guitar patterns right here that I fuck with. Okay, so here's our guitar and bass pattern right here. Mind you, this is kind of like tech deathy. Been listening to a new Job for a Cowboy album and it fucking rips, so I'm kind of trying to emulate that here. So the left and right guitar are playing 2 separate things. I'm trying to get it, it's not finished, but basically this is our bass line, guitar 2, guitar 1. This is what it is. Now, layered over that, some pretty intense blast beats. Oh, I actually need to edit these. So this is perfect. I'm gonna edit these in, this is real time me editing these drums. Okay, so the pattern is in 8th note triplets. Again, just like the last one. So I'm keeping it 4 right here. So that just adds like a layer of dynamics alternating your cymbal, because if you look at a lot of real drummers, I used to listen to the Demigod album by Behemoth like multiple times every day. When I was like in high school, I would play fucking Halo and I would listen to that. It felt badass. Anyway, they do that a lot in that album. I think like Slaves Shall Serve, something like that. But anyway, that's what that is. This is a hammer blast where your feet and your snare match up, so they're not offset. This one you have a little more leeway with. Your snare and your bass drum are never gonna hit at the same time. So shrink the snares up because your drummer's gonna be pretty fast. And if you're drumming in triplets, your first note of every triplet, eighth note triplet, is gonna be the heaviest. So then the next two, you can just quiet them down a little bit. And that's just gonna give it more dynamics. It's gonna sound more realistic. Same thing we talked about before. Starting this over. And then when we go offset, these are already shrunk. These are already shrunk up, I believe. Are they? No, they're not. I need to shrink these. God damn. Oh, they are already shrunk. All right, disregard, disregard, disregard. So now with the offset, I'm playing off the ride. Does that sound super realistic? No. Does it sound kind of like a triggered Slaughter to Prevail, kind of like Infinite Annihilator-esque? Yes. For a more tech deathy sound, what we would do is just literally drop that off. So it sounds good. And then our ride cymbals are lined up with the kick drum, because you got to think if you're playing like those alternating blast beats, if you're right-handed, your right hand's taking the lead. So it's like right hand is the kicks, and then the snare is the other one. So like right hand riding kicks, left hand is snare, and they come together. The kick drum on the alternating, I kind of just leave maxed out. It gives it more oomph, gives it more oomph. But yeah, here we go. All together now. So as that plays into our mix right here. I mean, the rest of that's pretty self-explanatory. It's blast beat, hammer blast, alternating blast, hammer blast, thrash beat right here. So this fill, when you hear that shit in your head and you're like, how would you break that into like a time? So right there, that's like the tempo. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's in eighth note triplets. You're counting. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's eighth note triplets. If I deleted this, we got eighth note triplets. But you want it to start with like that, you know, fuck, this sounds so stupid without context. So right there. And then I have the kicks going off the same pattern. So kind of builds a little bit of tension with this like into that double bass pattern. Repetitive double bass, you're gonna wanna turn it down, otherwise it's just overwhelming in the mix, like a max velocity kick over and over and over again. And then we go over here into another hammer blast, and then that ends in a, so. So this fill, I think it's important when you're writing fills, let the mix breathe. Overworking the drums is gonna like make your song sound. There's no buildup of tension. The drums are gonna help you build the tension more than anything. There's no buildup of tension, and then there's gonna be no release because you're just fucking constantly like. So we get to the end of this 16 bar passage, and for me to let this mix breathe, I switched from, these are eighth note triplets, and all these blast beats have been in eighth note triplets. This last hammer blast is just in eighth notes. Snare roll, a little cymbal fill to let it breathe, give you some like release into the next passage. So cymbals, purely cymbals, and then psh, psh, 2 cymbals with a kick, and then the same thing as those that snare fill before. Little triplet right here, or it's 8th note triplets, but it's like. If I took that away, listen how it sounds. Just a little bit boring, but then I add that back. Now check it out. Just gives it that little bit of realism, man. So snare rolls right here. When you do a snare roll, like a fast fucking snare bit, like that, this sounds awful. Oh, you fucking machine gun, dude. Your first hit is generally gonna be the loudest, but when you're playing a roll, you generally, the stick falls about 3 times, getting quieter every time. So it's like 3 and 3, unless you're doing like a double, that's a little different. But so essentially the first note's loud, second note's quieter, third note's the quietest. The left hand is gonna be loud again because you're hitting it with full velocity, and then the roll, it rolls off. And then that is very fast. So the drummer's not going to play that. I mean, they could play it quicker, but let's just say for the sake of explanation in this video, that's fast as fuck. So we're going to actually slow it down just a touch right there. There. There you go. And then that just leaves a lot of room in that mix. And then obviously, like, ultimately that would take, I'm still trying to figure out a transition for this, but. Anywho, so yeah, I mean, that's like drums, dude. It's really fucking simple when you just think about it. Pick your fills wise, leave room in the mix, and I will go over one last trick for programming fills. It is very nuanced. Again, this is intermediate beginner style stuff. The application is gonna kind of be on you because you have to get in there, and it's just doing the reps, dude. Just get in there, write songs. It's good practice to finish a song you write. I don't always do that. Dude, look at my desktop. Hold on. Can you see that? Okay, you can. Yeah. When I'm With You remix, Up the Walls inspired, Collectives rework, Midwest indie, Butts and Butts, Shit Punk, Generic Djent, De La Roca, Acoustic Jam, Whoopee, Two-Step Doer, Ballad of a Lad. It's just good practice to finish fucking shit you start. Neither here nor there. Programming new fills. One of the famous is like I think it's like a Portnoy. Joey Jordison did this a lot, so that might be a little more relevant to this channel. Tom. What is that, your jerk? I'm a jerk? Can't remember. So this fill, this is very popular fill. There you go. This is very beginner, but think about it as right, left, kick, kick. Now, break it down into 8th note trips here. It's gonna be the same thing. I'm just copying, pasting this because no time. So obviously, if you wanted to make this real, you could shrink those up, adjust the volumes. We're not gonna do all that here because this is just a demonstration. But then this is right, left, kick, kick. A little bit faster. Now, how do we make that more interesting? So 1, 2, 3. Oh. A little bit more interesting. You want to let it breathe a little more. We'll do something like this. Breathe more. Hopefully this has been helpful. I am filming a samples in heavy music part 2. Directly after this, I'll probably be in the same exact outfit. So hopefully you guys gain something from this. Hopefully this isn't useless. Yeah, dude, getting the reps in is going to be more important than any tips and tutorials. This is going to give you like a little bit of a foundation for going in and programming your own drums, but just getting in there and trying it. And then when you listen to music, enjoy the music you listen to, but also like you should find yourself analyzing it all the time. Like every time I'm listening to music, I feel like I'm enjoying it while also listening to like, look at how they structured this part. Like the synth is playing, you know, boom, 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 while the guitar is playing boom, boom, boom. So you can like, you're increasing and decreasing melodies, if whatever you want to call them. Or like, oh cool, every time the drums do a fill here, the song is in like quarter notes, but the fills are in eighth note triplets to bounce against those quarter notes. Or the song is in eighth note triplets and the fills are in standard eighth notes. It just gives it some like dynamics. That's gonna take you fucking super far. It's like listening to other music, imitating it, and eventually you'll find your own sound. I don't think my sound is original. It is to me, because like I'm writing all this from scratch, but then to fucking like 100% of the people who hear it, they're like, oh, it sounds like Tony Danza tap dance extravaganza, or it sounds like X band. And like, it's all a compliment, dude, because I love all these bands. Anyway, I hope you guys got something from this. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. All the support has been amazing. We're coming up with more videos, and thank you guys for hanging in there. I will see you guys in the next video for sure. Bye.